excitement. Because after you get struck by lightning, there's thunder.
What up, New York Giant Nation and football fans all over the world. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan. I got my guy, Adam Costas, with me. This is another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. Punch that intro, baby. What is going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Thank you all for tuning in. This is another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. How you feeling today, Adam?
I am feeling very good. We are one step closer to the regular season, and that always gets me excited this time of year.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What's going on, Zion, in the chat, man? Thanks for stopping in, bro. Good to see you out here. It's pretty early for you today, ain't it? Sorry, co-host Zion Zenith with the Premium Takes Podcast, one of the four horsemen.
What's good, Zion? How are you, man? It is pretty early there for you. What is it, like 2:30 there? You're on your lunch break. Probably listen to us in his cell phone store. I won't give too much more away than that, but don't be working. Don't be hardly working, okay, man? Don't be hardly working. Hey, Philly B, Coach Ed.
Philly B, Coach Ed, and thanks guys for stopping in, man. We was gonna get this show started this week, man, with a little bit of Dallas Cowboy talk, man. They've been kind of keeping things under wraps a little bit as far as they ain't been tipping their hands too much this preseason, letting us, we ain't really been seeing too much of what's going on, what they got brewing down there, man. So we've been seeing just a lot of their backups taking the field in these first couple of preseason games. So what you been seeing from the Cowboys, Adam?
Well, I see that the Cowboys have improved from week 1 to week 2. Now, I know that, that may not be a big deal because it's preseason, but what I want to say is that they showed you that they were competent on all levels. If you watch that game against LA, which, by the way, they made LA's backups look like they were a JV team out there. Now, I'm not saying anything bad, but when you dominate a team the way they did in preseason, and I know that, the Chargers have a bigger end goal in mind. They're not worried about winning a lowly preseason game, but you want to look competent. And Chase Daniels, they had their moments, but that Cowboy defense, those second teamers were really playing. So they got I guess Jerry Jones came down. Jerry came downstairs and he was like, fellas, you better play well or your asses are going to be fired. Okay? You understand? I'm Jerry Jones. You better play well. Let's go. So they probably heard the message of Jerry Jones. I know Mac likes my Jerry Jones impressions, but he probably came down. They probably heard the press clippings that they had 17 penalties, that they didn't look good, that they're not a good team, and they came out and they had a good showing against a team that at least I picked to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Again, it's preseason. We have to take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt, but if we're going to talk about improvement from week to week, they definitely did improve.
There's a lot of that was a lot of backups in that game. Obviously, I mean, it's going to be some contributing members some guys that will be contributing in the regular season playing out there. You know what I mean? But for the most part, it wasn't like they weren't playing against Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and none of those guys, man, and Austin Eckler. So I mean, at the same time, the Chargers weren't playing against Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard or CeeDee Lamb and them either. So it's like I said, that was just one of those games where the fans bought tickets for that preseason game. You went there and you just got to watch the backups play, and you got to watch all the stars you really wanted to see, just standing on the sideline, kumbaya with each other, taking a night off. So
Yeah, looking up there saying, Jerry saying, "Look at that team. We need to perform like a Super Bowl team, even in the preseason. I don't want to see it. I don't want to go back to Dallas. I don't want to go back to Dallas and sit in front of these reporters and say we don't have a good team. Come on, Mike, get this team ready to go. Come on."
yeah, but like you saying, the Dallas Cowboys defense is starting to look like they are pretty legit and will be
Well,
a force to be reckoned with this season, man.
I said last year that Dan Quinn's a legit defensive coordinator. People laughed at me and were like, "Oh," I'm like, "No, he's legit, man. Like he will not miss a beat with that Cowboy team." And look what happened last year. They were a pretty decent defense. Now this year, they built a little bit on defense. I know they lost Randy Gregory, but let's be honest, Randy Gregory's not Lawrence Taylor. He's not Derek Thomas. I think he can replace his sack production. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had. Let me get the exact numbers for you, but I think he had a decent year, but nothing like I need to worry about in terms of being a Pro Bowler. I think last year he had 6 sacks. Now that's not a lot of sacks, all things considered, right? I mean, in his career he has 16 and a half sacks. Gregory has been in the league for a couple of years now, right? He's been in the league. Randy Gregory has been in the league since 2015. The guy only has 16 and a half sacks, and that's like 2 sacks a year. You know what I mean? So they're acting like, oh, we lost Randy Gregory. Yeah, you lost a guy who gave you what? 6 sacks, his best season so far as a Cowboy. I just think, and he's going to Denver where he can smoke as much pot as he wants and not get in trouble. I mean, it's legal there. So what can he do? He won't be on the bench for that. But to me, the Cowboys, it's funny when we talk about the Cowboys because they're going to find another pass rusher. I think they got Dante Fowler, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Ms. Not Ms.
Yeah,
Mac.
I gotta double check that. I think I do remember hearing that though.
No, they got Anthony Barr. Sorry, they got Anthony Barr as the outside linebacker. They have Terrell Basham. They still have DeMarcus Lawrence. Okay. Yes, they did. They did have Dante Fowler. So they have Dante Fowler, who probably could replace Randy Gregory's 6 sacks if you really want to know the truth.
I'd like to think that he could.
He has 35 in his career, right? That's already double what Randy Gregory had. And last year for Atlanta, he got about 4.5, right? And we both agree there's not any real bona fide stars on that Atlanta defense. So now you bring in DeMarcus Lawrence, and a Micah Parsons and an Anthony Barr, and that kind of changes the game. Even a Terrell Basham kind of changes the game for a guy like Dante Fowler, who now doesn't have to come in and be the man. He just has to come in and do his job, right? So I don't know. I think the Cowboys defense is going to be their strength. I think I was a little skeptical about them at first, but I think going into their first 2 games, they're going to run. They're going to be predominantly a run-heavy team, and they're going to also probably be a heavy defensive team.
I could definitely agree with that. I could definitely because right now with some of the injury issues they're dealing with, they're going to have to come out and probably get that run game, really assert themselves in the run game because CeeDee Lamb, to be quite frank, he's a good young superstar, man, but I'm not sure if he's ready to fully take on that whole load and carry that load and be the guy out there running around and making things happen without a really great supporting cast around him in the receiver position. So I think they're going to have to rely heavily on Zeke and Tony Pollard offensively with that run game. And Dak is what he is. We know he's a regular season juggernaut at the quarterback position, so he usually finds a way to make it happen. And they just re-signed Dalton Schultz, so they got him locked up, and he's looking like he's definitely on the uprise as one of the top tier tight ends in the NFL. But you're right, that defense, like you said, well coached by Mike Quinn, and I think that's going to definitely be where they tip their hat to. They're going to rely heavily just on being able to just go out there and bludgeon people, man, stop people, and hope maybe they can generate some of that turnover magic as well.
We can't bring back Jalen Smith because he's a middle linebacker and Kayvon Thibodeau plays outside linebacker. Best you have right now, Miz, is Osain Jimenez will make the team. But we'll get to that in a minute.
For what it's worth, Osain Jimenez is having a decent camp, but we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later.
Yes. Let's keep on with the Cowboys. So I mean, you're right about that. I think it's going to be a ball control until they get the receivers back. Then when they get Gallup and a couple of their guys back and can get established, I think that's when they'll kind of open it up a little bit more. I mean, they're going to be. I think what they're going to be is go back to Dak's rookie year, kind of short passes, running game, move the chains to keep it short, third and manageable. Because if they can do that, they can beat the team. Now, Cincinnati. We'll see how they are. Maybe they're a little rusty in week 2 because Joe Burrow's not playing. But the Cowboys need to – they have a good game against 9-11 against Tampa Bay. They need to come out and show you that they can hang with the Buccaneers because, if again, I keep mentioning this. Week 3, if the Cowboys are 0-2, it is not a game I want to see the Giants play. Regardless if the Giants are 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2, I don't want to see an angry Cowboys team because they're not going to fold. Especially knowing that what this division can do. You can get in with 9 wins. So just because you have 2 losses doesn't mean you can't win the division, right? So I would not want to be their slump buster, so to speak.
I absolutely agree with that. And I mean, like we were saying, these Cowboys been resting everybody this preseason, and another reason I feel so that they're going to be so dependent on the run, man. Look, they're even resting up. Tony Pollard hasn't, to my knowledge, taken a snap this preseason either. So, I mean, he's technically the number 2 running back, but he's like more like a 1A,
1B.
1A, 1B, yeah, exactly. So they're treating him just like he's one of the top guys in their offense, which he is. So they're resting him up, getting him ready for this season too. And I think once they get to 9-11, man, they're gonna come out the ground running heavy, man, and they're gonna really be relying big time on Zeke and
And I think that's where the advantage is with a lot of these teams, right? Because they're playing in the same offense and the same defense from a year ago, right? So they don't need to play their starters per se in the preseason like maybe the Giants or the Commanders have to, right? Because they know the offense. Kellen Moore is still their offensive coordinator. Mike McCarthy is still their head coach. Dan Quinn is still their defensive coordinator, and so on and so forth. So when you that familiarity, it gives you that I guess vacation speak where you can be like, oh, you know what, we don't need to play you guys this week. Maybe they'll get some burn next week or this coming weekend whenever they play. I guess all the league plays on Sunday, so this Sunday they'll get some burn, but probably maybe not more than a half at the most because they already know the offense. And for me, I look at the Cowboys and I say, just the way their backups played, it intrigues me because the way they looked, and I'm not necessarily looking at the score, but how they dominate some of the players out there was like, oh man, the Cowboys might have found a few players here that'll be contributors going down the road.
Yeah, they definitely look like a team that has some pretty good depth behind those starters, and it's going to be interesting, man. But they got a tough start to the season, like you said, with those first couple of games. And you're right, I would not want to see those guys coming into MetLife Stadium on a Monday Night Football 0-2, wanting to take all their frustrations out on the New York Giants. So.
At that point, season's on the line, right? So,
yeah, so I definitely not trying to see that kind of a Cowboy team. I really don't have much more on these Cowboys. Like I said, they've been keeping their business pretty tight this off season, this training camp. Don't really know a whole lot about what they got brewing on to kind of wait and see. We can give a shout out. That's one of Big Pat Sports Talk. That's one of his guys. Cavante Turpin had a big night against the Chargers, running back a kickoff return and a punt return, man. Looking to possibly sneak a spot on that roster, man. It's not going to be easy, obviously, to get a spot on the Cowboys roster, but maybe if he can show his value in special teams, man, they'll keep him around, at least in some extent anyway.
Well, last thing we'll mention about that is just keep an eye on the trade deadline and the waiver wire because a lot of these guys may be on your team or may be traded, to get a draft pick. That's what preseason allows you to do. So, now if he blew up like he did, you have to either put him on the team or risk him to another team. And if you're going to do that, you might as well trade him.
I agree. So, you got any more final thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys?
Final thoughts are, we're coming for you, Jerry. You be quiet, Adam. You be quiet. But we're coming for you, Jerry.
That's right, man. So we move on from the Dallas Cowboys and slide on in these Washington Commanders, man.
Oh
A little
boy.
bit, little bit of talk. They had a rough one this past weekend against the Kansas City Chiefs, man. But
Yeah,
you
I mean, rough is not. I mean, I looking at the stats from the game as well. It doesn't look like they had a necessarily a rough time, but you know, the quarterback.
I
The
mean,
only
in the
go
beginning
ahead.
of the game when the starters were in the game, it was rough, bro. It was
Yeah.
rough.
I mean, again, we'll see what happens. The Kansas City is above their pay grade in
I
terms of,
agree.
I mean, they're not playing Kansas City week in and week out. So we'll see what happens in terms of that. You know what I mean? It's to me, it's like I look at Washington and I look at what Carson Wentz did in the game, and 6 of 9 for 64 yards is not great, but I mean it's efficient, right? Then the next guy comes in and goes 9 of 12, basically efficient and a touchdown. And then Sam Howell, the lovely Sam Howell, goes 10 of 18 for 122 yards and an interception. So if you're looking at some of the positives, I guess you could say, that Carson Wentz was efficient, but again, they're not playing Kansas City, who, by the way, seems to be sleeping on getting slept on in the AFC because of a couple of losses. So you don't know what Andy Reid told those guys against Washington. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Again, preseason. I'm not saying that Washington's going to be great. I'm not saying they're going to be bad either, but I will take what I saw from them with a grain of salt and say, we'll see. Because I've seen teams go 4-0 in the preseason. I've seen teams go 0-4, and it doesn't mean a damn thing, right?
I mean, absolutely doesn't. Detroit Lions went 4-0 in the preseason and then proceeded to go 0-16 in the regular season. So,
But as long as I guess they get their work in, as long as they get their work in, right? Like their defense gets a little stronger and things of that, then the preseason is good because you look at their team, right? They got a lot of players on there: Curtis Samuels, Dimey Brown, you know. Cam Sims, Amari Rogers, John Dotson. I mean, they've got a lot of guys that are weapons on this team. Terry McLaurin, had look at him averaging 13 and a half yards a catch. I mean, that boy is a beast. People need to
he
stop
caught,
sleeping on Terry McLaurin.
caught both of his targets. But the
Exactly.
one thing I took notice of in this game was someone still in the doghouse. That's Mr.
Antonio Gibson.
Antonio Gibson. Still appears to be in the
I
doghouse,
think they're making
man.
him earn his spot. I really do. Because if you let him go, right, if you let him walk, that would be such a detriment to this Washington football team. Because at some point, if I'm Ron Rivera, I pull the old Bill Parcells and I tell him, listen, we're not going to trade you because we're going to need you. That's what they said to like Otis Anderson and Jeff Hostetler, right? Like Jeff Hostetler wanted to get out of here, let go, spread his wings, and Coach Parcells was like, hey man, we're going to need you, just stick to it. And boy did they ever need him, right? So
Yes, indeed.
and he was a third round pick, which means he's an investment. He has 1,800 yards rushing in, I guess you could call this 3 seasons. This would be season number 2 for him. Season number 3 for him. He runs a 4.39. That's a talent you don't want to really give up on. I mean, look. First year, 795 yards. Last year, he had 1,037. Now he fumbled 7 times. That's why he's in the doghouse. And he lost 4
Absolutely.
fumbles. So that is really where Antonio Gibson, I think, is being punished for. Is less reps means less touches on the football. Now, if I were him, I would find Tiki Barber and I would call him up and I say, hey, Tiki, man, I know you had a fumbling problem in your career. What did you do? And Tiki might tell him, hey, man, strengthen your hands, do some strengthening exercises, get a better grip on the football, because you can do a lot of things with that football in your hand, right? I've heard it. Even Tiki said it. But if your hands are not strong enough to grip the top of the ball, it's going to get ripped out regardless. So maybe that's what he needs to look into.
I mean, maybe he needs. Look at something. 'Cause I think the kid he has talent. He has big playability. He's valuable weapon just in the offense in general. He can do a lot. Not only can he run out the backfield, he's a good receiver. He's also a good receiver out of the backfield. He can straight. You can line him up out wide. Like he played a lot of wide receiver in college. So he brings a lot to the table, man. He's just got to figure out a way to hold on to that football and get back into good graces with these coaches because there's one Brian Robinson, man, that is making the most opportunity, excuse me, making the most of his opportunities that he's getting, man. Once again, leading the way and rushing for this team, 31 yards on 8 carries.
Guess what? He's a third-round pick as well. So, I mean, we'll see.
It's right now. It's Antonio Gibson's got to figure whatever the issue is. He's got to figure out a way to get back in the good graces.
Yep. But Mac, they're two kind of different backs. This back, Robinson's 228 pounds, which is a Mack truck coming at you, right?
He's a bruiser.
Antonio Gibson, I don't think is as big as him. Let me just get my notes open.
He was a wide receiver. He was a wide receiver in college mostly, so definitely not.
Okay, so here it is. So he's 6'2", 220. They're both big backs. So if I'm Washington, I don't let him go because you have a two-back attack right now. And don't forget J.D. McKissick, who they also like, who's also a pain in the ass. Little third down scat back, right? So, 5'10", 195 pounds, undrafted guy, kind of gives them the receiving threat that they're looking for with the option. I would keep him. I would keep him, and then I would trade him at the trade deadline to a team that's desperate for a back or a player, because if you're a GM, I mean, the Washington Commanders are run like a trash can. They're run like a shithole of an organization. But if there's any semblance of a GM, maybe they'll trade him. We'll see.
Yeah, like Jeff just brought up here in chat, I was getting ready to get to this. So yeah, they got some horrible bad news with Chase Young getting put on the pup. So he will be out for at least minimum the first month of the season. What's going on, J-Leg? Thanks for stopping in, bro.
And you're right, Jeff. I do that's Jerry Joe impressions.
So, yeah, he'll definitely be out for at least the minimum the first month. And Washington's hoping that's all he'll miss. So, only time will tell. But what do you think that does for their defense?
I just think it adds more to Montez Sweat, right? I think more retention is going to be given to him. If you want to ask the truth, I think their defense is still going to be strong. Obviously, this is a huge. Well, they have David Mayo on their team. My God, I thought that guy was out the league. Sorry, folks. I'm just looking at their roster just to kind of glance over there, and I saw David. I just was thinking about David Mayo the other day, and I'm like, I wonder where he is. Oh, I found him. I found him. But yeah, so I think Jonathan Allen they still have. They're going to use this the Mathis kid from Alabama. I think not Alabama. Southern. What's he from? He's from he's from Alabama. Yeah, weird name, but he seems like a badass dude according to his profile. And they got Deron Payne and James White. We'll see. Montez Sweat is the guy that I would really be focused on because that's who Chase Young opened up, right? Montez Sweat doesn't get enough credit in the league for being a solid player. I wish he was on the Giants. I mean, I don't mind Sexy Dexy. Don't get me wrong. But this guy's had 7 sacks, 9 sacks, and an injury-plagued season last year at 5 sacks, right? So that's probably more than anyone on the team minus Azeez Ojulari. So now, thankfully, it works out the way it did because we have on Thibodeau instead. But it would have been fun to have Montez Sweat in 2019 instead of maybe Dexter Lawrence. So to answer your question, Chase Young hurts a guy like Montez Sweat.
Absolutely, and I mean, what's going on, NYG22? Thanks for stopping in, bro. But
NYG22, what's up, man?
But I was going to say, yeah, and thinking it could impact that secondary that struggled a bit last year, put a little bit more pressure on those cornerbacks. They got a couple solid corners, but they had a tough year last season ago.
Well, apparently they have a addition
Kendall
by
Fuller and William Jackson III. I mean, they had a rough go at it last year, and I was looking for those guys to rebound. But wouldn't take away a pass rusher with the talent of Chase Young, it may be a little more difficult to get some of those sacks, get into that pressure, get those pressures, man. It might put a little more pressure on those guys on the back end.
Well, maybe they have to blitz more, right? Maybe they have to bring be a little bit more exotic with pressure packages. I mean, Jack Del Rio is their coach, and I'm sure this is not news to him that Chase Young may not be available. I mean, let's be real, right? He's
absolutely.
Probably. He's kind of playing for this. I don't think he wants David Mayo being his starter. But like you said,
no, that's not
they They got Kendall Fuller, like you said. I think they like Dirac Forrest. I think they like him. They got William Jackson III. They got some guys that we know about, right? And their strong safety, Kareem Curl, and some of the other DBs that they have, they liked. I mean, they got rid of Landon Collins, who was apparently a detriment to them, right? So, with that being said,
shit. No good in coverage.
Yeah,
we know that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't pay him $86 million, whatever the hell they gave him, right? So, sorry, but bro, you'll get half of that because you only do half the work. So we'll see. We really will see. I mean, it really comes down to how well the offense does. Because again, people sleeping on this team. Look at their skill position. They got Curtis Samuels, like I said, Terry, John Dotson, and they have Diami Brown, and now there's this Dax Maline guy that they're talking about as well. Their tight ends are Logan Thomas. Amari Rogers is their rookie that they got. And they got Jake Huseman and Cole Turner. So they have some guys there that are kind of booty, but their line is not bad. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, we'll see. We don't know how they come together. I'm really intrigued about Jamon Davis because I think they're moving him from the middle to the outside. So that's really a guy I want to see how well he does because he was a highly touted player coming out of college out of Kentucky. So he was round 1, pick 19, had 76 tackles over the last couple of years. Apparently was out of place. I think outside linebacker may be best for him because he can be a run and chase type of player as opposed to the middle where you got to drop back and do some coverage things. When you're an outside linebacker, you don't necessarily have to do as much, right? In terms of responsibility. You cover zones, you rush the passer, you're a jack of all trades. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they got another good linebacker I've been keeping an eye on. I've been having a pretty solid camp for him.
It wasn't David Mail,
Cole Holcomb kid, man. Cole Holcomb. He's been having a number 55 for them. He's been having a pretty decent camp for them. I've been kind of noticing some of his work, putting some good solid work in. So he's another guy to keep an eye on on that Washington defense. He was with them last year. Yeah, last season he finished with 83 tackles and a sack. Forced fumble, couple forced fumbles and a couple interceptions. So he's definitely a player on the rise for them. Keep another good solid player on that to keep an eye on.
I like Kelly Holcomb, like you said. I think it's Kelly Holcomb. Cole
Holcomb.
Cole Holcomb. I like him as a player. He emerged last year, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he came in. Their young version of David Mayo, right? David Mayo is this guy. He kind of solidified. His emergence allows Jamon Davis to move to the outside linebacker position. That's what it allows him to do, right? It allows more versatility. Maybe get a player that wasn't as good as you think to move him to a place that will benefit his skill set. That's really good coaching. That's what that is, right? Coaching allows you to, like, unlike our coaches last year, where they didn't seem to get out of their own goddamn way. We have guys, coaches, roster, and say, okay, well, this guy can do this, he can do this, and he can do that. What can he do? What can he not do? Okay, well, Kelly Holcomb gives us a better opportunity to have Jamon Davis play the outside linebacker role, which he might be more familiar in. Okay. I mean, Jamon Davis ran a 4.48. That is fast. But if you didn't drop back in coverage, you're not going to have that. So Kelly Holcomb runs downhill, and with those two D tackles in front of him, you're going to see a lot of tackles made either at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage when that guy comes calling.
I definitely get it, man. But really got much more on Washington Commanders this week, man, other than the fact that starting defense needs to clean it up, whatever they're doing, because I get it. They're not going to be playing the Chiefs every week, but Patrick Mahomes went out there and torched that ass.
That's why he's Patrick Mahomes.
Very limited play on.
That's why he's Patrick Mahomes, I mean, think about it. Again, the last thing I'll say on the Commanders is go F yourselves, Commanders. We're coming for you too. But, we
got one more question from Jeff about the Commanders.
Okay. Who do you guys see winning the starting running back position, Brian Robinson or Antonio Gibson? Well, I think Mac answered that. I think he's going with Brian Robinson as a starter. I don't know.
All signs are pointing that way right now. I mean, he's like I said, he's out there. He's getting the opportunities. He's getting the reps, and he's making the most of them. It's not like Antonio Gibson is not getting reps because he's injured. He's just not getting reps
Well, maybe
because
let
they're
me ask you
just
this:
not playing them.
Do you think that because he's a rookie, Johnson or Robinson, excuse me, that they're giving him more burn right now to kind of get him up to speed to get NFL playing time under his belt? Antonio Gibson, yes, he's in the doghouse, but he's been in the system for as long as Ron Rivera's been there. So do you think he really needs to know what's going on in offense, and this is just them showcasing Robinson to kind of give him some experience?
Well, I think it could be a little bit of that, but at the same time, you still got your other starters out there. I mean, Scary Terry's out there playing. John Dotson's out there. Carson Wentz is out there. So Antonio Gibson should be out there getting reps and getting that chemistry, building that chemistry with all of those guys. I mean, he obviously has had chemistry with the like Terry McLaurin and all them out there on offense offensively for the last few years. But you got a new quarterback in town, man, and I think if he's going to be your guy, he needs to be out there getting used to catching passes from Carson Wentz out that backfield, taking the handoff from Carson Wentz. You know, and things like that matter, man. All the little details and fine tuning matter. But like you said, we don't know what's going on in practice down there either like that behind closed doors. So maybe he's getting a lot more work in practice, and they're giving the game reps to more of the game reps to Brian Robinson. You could be absolutely spot on with that, Adam. But right now, it looks to me all signs are pointing to Brian Robinson possibly winning this starting running back job, and Antonio Gibson becoming more the complement as opposed to the starter. But we'll see.
I agree. I just think for me that would be the only the only two logical explanations as to why he is not getting it is one, they are like mad at him because of his fumbling problems, so like you're going to basically earn your spot. And the other thing is, well, this rookie from program gives us a spark and gives us power, and that's where we want to go. And he doesn't fumble, but let's get him some reps because come 9/11, you don't want him to be in the game and be like, well, he hasn't touched the ball all preseason, so that's why he's falling on his face.
Well, I definitely agree with that, man. But we go ahead and move on from these Washington Commanders because we talked enough about them. So we're going to hit that team that I love so much. Right up the turnpike from me. The Philadelphia Eagles. A half-hour drive up 95 for me to get to this team's facilities. Just love living that close to all these Eagle fans each and every year. But this is the Eagles, man. And they, once again, this past week, they didn't really give us too much to look at in their preseason game either. Against the Browns, they didn't play their starters. And, I mean, they played some key role players, guys that will definitely make the roster and be a big part of what they're going to do. But none of the real main guys got in. No Jalen Hurts, no A.J. Brown, no Miles Sanders. So did see some good stuff from Gardner Minshew, their number 2 quarterback, who looks like there's some rumors that he may be moving along soon, man. Not so sure what the Eagles got planned, man, but they're talking about. I'm hearing a lot of potential trade rumors for backup Gardner Minshew, who in my opinion is one of the best backups in the league. So I think unless you get something that really just is absolutely you can't turn down, it blows you away. I'm not necessarily looking to move Gardner Minshew if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, man. You can't. If anybody, the New York Giants learned last year the value of a good, solid backup quarterback, and when you got one of the best you got. I mean, he's a backup quarterback that's a borderline starter. I mean, I feel like he can go out to Seattle and win that starting job if he was in Seattle right now. He would be the best quarterback on that roster, in my opinion. He could go maybe to like in Atlanta and beat out Marcus Mariota possibly. I just feel like there's a couple teams where this guy could legitimately be the starting quarterback if he was there. So I just don't know why the Eagles even. And like I said, this is something that just blows my way where it's like they give you something where okay, you're gonna give me that for Gardner Minshew, you got him. You know what I mean? But I just feel like you got. Oh, I just feel like you got it. What's going on, Rodney? Good to see you, brother. But I just feel like they need to I think they need to put a little more value on him, have a little more respect for Gardner Minshew because I think they got a little diamond in the rough. And if something was to happen to Jalen Hurts, man, they gonna they're gonna wish they had Gardner Minshew if they end up getting rid of him. They're gonna wish they still had him, man. That's just my opinion on that.
And you know how karma works. They'll get rid of him, and that's when they'll actually need him, right? This season they'll get rid of him, and something will happen, and then, God forbid the playoffs are on the line, let's say, in a game when Jalen Hurts can't play, and you try out whoever their backup player is. I don't even know who the backup is to Gardner Minshew. I mean, figure it out. But, the Philadelphia Eagles are probably just putting flyers out there to see what they can get. I mean, they gave up a little bit to get him, so I don't understand why you would then all of a sudden turn your back on him, right? So doesn't make much sense to me. But if there is a taker out there, there's a team that says, "Hey, we want to give you a fourth round pick for the guy," then you obviously take that because guess what? Next year they want enough ammunition in case Jalen Hurts stinks, where they can move up to get a quarterback. Because right now, I think Dane Brugler or someone from the Athletic top 50 came out, and then they had two quarterbacks in the top 50 right at this point. That obviously probably will change as the season goes along, but the top 50, which means if you are not in the top 10, which we don't think the Eagles will be in terms of picking up a quarterback, you're going to need ammunition, and Gardner Minshew could help you get that ammunition depending on who it goes to and what team wants it.
Well, like I said, I just mentioned the team out there out west Seattle, man. That's a squad that, as of even right now, Pete Carroll still does not know who he wants to go with as his starting quarterback. And I think that's kind of like, at this point, crazy because I believe you need to know who your starter is going to be. You need to be getting that guy ready for 9/11. And the fact that they're still in limbo and he doesn't even know yet, that's, like I said, one of those kind of squads where it's like maybe they wish they had a Gardner Minshew out there instead of what they're dealing with whatever they're dealing with Drew Lock and Geno Smith out there.
Geno Smith. I mean, God, never thought that guy played down in the NFL.
So I mean, I'm just saying that's like I'm only bringing this up because the other day me and AK we were having a discussion. I don't know, we might have just kind of misunderstood each other because he was on the stream and I was in the chat. So we're gonna definitely talk about it next week when we have him on the show, special edition. Next week we're gonna have. By the way, I might as well plug that right now, right quick. We'll have AK. We're rapping the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to have Cole Cowboy representing the Dallas Cowboys. And we're going to have my guy, Protect Sports, representing the Washington Commanders. We're going to be doing a little special edition ranking the positional groups in the NFC East and have a little fun with it next week. So y'all make sure y'all definitely tune in for that, man. But, so I just think, man, I don't know. I feel like right now, league wide, I think more people need to be putting more attention on the backup quarterback position, especially with the way injuries are coming at a ridiculous rate. People just go down in this game now. I mean, it is what it is. We just don't have that many more Iron Men anymore. These guys are getting these soft tissue injuries every year. It's just so many names, and then when you're not prepared, man, that can screw your season up. Especially when you're a good team like the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think are going to be a good team at least anyway. I mean, that injury to Jalen Hurts, he gets injured, man, and then you don't have somebody competent to go in there. That's just crazy to me. I mean, Gardner Minshew's numbers on Sunday were 14 to 17 for 142 yards, and a lot of Eagle fans that I talked to seem to want to harp on this one horrible pass he threw, which almost resulted in a pick six, but it didn't. I mean, it didn't happen, but it should have. The D-back just
you're talking to a fan base who has a quarterback that throws horrible passes for a living. So I'm not going to feel bad for them for one pass because every quarterback has one or two of those.
That's what I mean. And I mean, overall, his numbers, I mean, he totally has full command of this offense. And I could only imagine what he would do if he was out there throwing to A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith and those guys, you know what I mean? So I think they need to, like I said, unless it's an offer that's just way overwhelming, they need to maybe calm down with any of those potential trade rumors and keep hang on to Gardner Minshew because he'll prove to be a valuable commodity to them if they actually do need him.
Yeah, I think we were just talking about this with Bill Parcells and Jeff Hostetler, right? If it wasn't for keeping Hostetler, the Giants level in Super Bowl #2, right? If any team knows about a backup quarterback, it's also the Philadelphia Eagles because they don't win that Super Bowl without Nick Foles on their roster. So I understand they want to strike when the iron's hot, right? And get somebody for it. And don't get me wrong, Seattle's probably the team that you want to that you want to trade with. Now, whether or not they're willing to trade, I have methodology. I don't know if that's gamesmanship. Probably not, because it seems his quarterback situation pretty booty. But for me, that's a team that could look into him. But if they, why would you want to get rid of him? Because what if Jalen Hurts struggles? Let's hypothetically put that out there, right? He struggles, and you need a spark on your team, right? Nick Sirianni seems like a guy who could be a spark plug guy. He changed up his offense last year when it was struggling to pass the football, right? This year you don't have that luxury of switching it up the same way. So, but what if Jalen Hurts is, crapping the bed? Do you then just stop and say, well, we're going to keep this guy who's clearly struggling or maybe needs to be benched or gets nicked up, like I said, out of the lineup? I don't know, man. I just think so. What's funny? You got a guy on the Eagles who runs RPOs, right? He runs. We clearly see him as a mobile guy. I guess we can both agree that he's mobile, right? You would say that more so than a scrambler or a pocket passer, right? I guess a scrambler is a little different than a mobile guy, right?
He's a mobile runner.
Right. So
he's in the same class we classify Lamar Jackson. I would put them in the same classification.
Okay, so if that's what you think he is, right, or that's what he demonstrates that he is, then to me, what needs to happen is this: you need to keep that backup quarterback. Why? I'll tell you why. Because what if, and this is what if, I don't want this to happen to anybody. I don't want it to happen to specific people, but if he comes around the corner, just because they're in my head, and Jonathan Allen's over there and decides to take out Jalen Hurts because of a bad RPO, or they sniff out the game with a concussion, or he gets knocked out with a couple weeks with a bum knee or a pulled hammy for whatever reason. Wouldn't you want a guy that you already know is competent in terms of how he plays football, already knows your system? You're not going to need to worry about tailoring the offense in any way. You don't want to do that because why? Because you want to get a 4th or 5th round pick from a. I just think they need to be smarter with a mobile quarterback and get a guy that they deem a guy that can be healthy and play football for them, because injuries happen.
Especially when you're a team that's looking to contend in the NFC, man. And I think they're literally they're going into this season looking to be contenders in the NFC at the very least, man. Like, and they put together a roster that looks like they possibly can and should be there, when it comes playoff time in January. And like you said, with a quarterback that plays a style like Jalen Hurts, that backup quarterback becomes that much more valuable. So I would just, if I was going to give y'all a friendly tip, Eagles, I'd tell y'all think about it. Don't make a rash move, but then again, go ahead and do y'all. At the same time, make all the mistakes you need to.
Yeah, man, I'm like Mac. I live pretty close to, unfortunately, Eagle country. So yeah, make your dumb mistakes. But let me get a roster. I'm trying to pull up their roster just to see who their other quarterback was, because that quarterback, whoever he is in order for Garner.
He had a solid day as well. The kid Reed Sennett.
He's playing well, he said?
He played well on Sunday in that game.
So then that might be a reason why you think you can trade him, because let's be honest, if Garner Minshew playtime thinks he's a starter, it's the same conversation I had with somebody about Mitchell Trubisky and coming to the Giants, right? I said to somebody, the reason why Mitchell Trubisky doesn't come here, even familiar with the offenses, wanted an easier path to the starting. And at some point in March on Pittsburgh than it does now, right? Obviously, you can't determine that they're going to draft Kenny Pickett because you don't know if that guy's going to fall to them, right? So at that point, it was a 50-50 shot. But right now, you have Carson Strong and you have Reed Sinnett, right? And Carson Strong is probably also going to be on their team as well. So that doesn't leave much room for Gardner Minshew. So we'll see. I liked Carson Strong coming out. I thought he was a decent quarterback.
The thing about the Reed Sinnett kid, he came in, he threw a nice touchdown pass. I mean, it was nice. It was very nice, pretty pass. But you got to put the things in perspective. It's like the Davis Webb thing with the New York Giants fans this past week. I don't know if you've heard any of those weird people that think, oh, Davis Webb. All of a sudden now they want him to be the starter. We got weirdos that actually believe that. But that's neither here nor there. It's like that with me. Like, you got to put in perspective that the fact that most of these guys that this Reed Sinnett kid was playing against aren't going to be wearing Cleveland Brown uniforms come September 11th. I mean, it just is what
probably
it is.
will be working as salesman at the local dealership somewhere.
Some of them very much will be. That's where I say you got to
No offense to that.
That's why, yeah, I mean, that's why you got to be like, look, keep it into perspective. Kid looks sharp, but he was playing against, for the most part, inferior talent. You know, guys, I mean, some of those guys are going to make the roster, special teams or whatever, but they're not going to be the guys you're going to look across the line and see on Sundays for real when the lights come on. So it's like the Davis Webb thing. He played great on Sunday as well for the Giants, but look who the guys once again that he was playing against. Same deal. Most of those guys are not going to be having Cincinnati Bengal uniforms on come September 11th. It just is what it is. So,
They're going to be selling car at Rick's car dealership in downtown Philadelphia.
But yeah, so I don't know. The Eagles, like I said, they didn't show us too much. One thing I did take notice of from this Eagle team was their first round draft pick, Mr. Jordan Davis, who is starting to pique my interest a little bit. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, I didn't want to actually say that, but yeah, that's what is going on. This kid's looking like he's looking like he is going to be the real deal, and he is going to be a plugger and a lot to handle in the middle of that Eagle defense.
I can't wait for next week to kind of get the Eagles, AK's take on Jordan Davis, because right now I am pretty certain those Georgia players are pretty good. And I think him and Nakobe Dean, and this is why I think I like their draft, they went to the right position, the right teams, right? Kenny Pickett went to the right team. Some of these players just fell to a team that could use them the right way. It wasn't like, hey, you're on, I don't know, the Rams or something like that, where you may not be used because you have Aaron Donald and another guy in front of you. You've literally got a bona fide stud in front of you. You got Fletcher Cox next to you. You got Vernon Hargraves, and you're a 340-pound behemoth.
I mean, it's set him up perfectly, right? Can't be set up more perfectly than that.
Exactly. But behemoth, I mean, not so if you're the linebacker and you're looking at you making moves, he's going to take up a lot of space. So I expect anybody that's playing behind Jordan Davis to make a lot of tackles, not to mention Jordan Davis make tackles himself. I mean, look at this. Listen to this size, okay? 6'6", 336 pounds, probably an exaggeration, probably closer to 340 right now. But that guy is going to play the first two downs of the game, and probably third and long downs, right? Because people are going to be like, well, let's take them off the field. I hate taking guys like this off the field, because what they do is, like a Dexter Lawrence, I know you want to get the NASCAR guys in, all your fast guys, but if you put in a guy like Jordan Davis, he's going to take up two bodies. So you might as well play him all three downs and say, hey, Jordan, you may not make a sack for us, but you could damn sure knock two guys out of the way so Nakobe Dean or whatever linebacker comes in behind you can make that tackle, you know?
All right, Tudo, I got you, man. Make an official announcement
Miz wants
on our
Miz wants to
show. We'll be at the Link January 8th Giants away
coordinates.
game. All boys, losers, pull up and show up, or shut the hell up. There you
Well,
go,
let's
Tudo.
hope that game is a nice. We'll have Ricky Stidham or whatever the fuck that kid's name is playing, because the Eagles will have clinched a playoff spot and they don't need this game, so we can get into
Oh,
our
no.
postseason dance.
By then we might get Ricky Seals Jones back. You know, game changer.
We found him on the milk box, only to send him home. I cannot wait. I cannot wait till we get to the Giants, because I'm going to address that man.
Well, we'll be getting to him soon, because I don't have a whole lot to be. I don't know. The Eagles didn't.
You know
Like I
what?
said, they didn't
I don't
get
have
as much
enough.
to
I don't
talk
have
about this weekend.
exactly. I don't got anything to say about the Eagles. Let's get into RSJ and the New York Giants. RSJ and the New York Giants. Why am I loud? People, why am I loud? Not because I'm just a loud person. But
Real
because
quick, Jeff with some breaking news. Real quick, on about the Dallas Cowboys. Michael Gallup avoids the pup list, and he could be ready for week 1 or 2. That's huge news for the Dallas Cowboys.
that is really huge news. That tells me he'll play, which gives them an extra weapon on the field. Michael Gallup, we'll see. I mean, it's about 3.5 weeks till the season starts. No, Art Stapleton, we could do better than Art Stapleton. Maybe Jordan Ron. I mean, have you ever seen Art Stapleton? Maybe for the offensive line, but no offense to you, Art. I love you, man. But give me Jordan Renan or that Dan Duggan guy, a tight end. But let's get into RSJ, New York Football Giants. Here we go. I'm already introducing it. I know Mac introduces it, but I am fired up about this one. So let's get out there. All right. So Ricky Seals Jones, who, by the way, I told everybody was a bum. I said, this guy is a bum. We're signing from the damn bargain basement bin. And I got laughed out the building. He's going to be a starter. He's going to bring versatility. He hasn't even played it. He's never coming back unless you cut his ass in an injury settlement, in which case you have to wait 6 freaking weeks for him to come on the team. So, Ricky Seals Jones, nice knowing you. Thanks for nothing. All the people who made them videos telling me he was going to be good, I'm just saying. One Jones bites the dust. And it's a guy that was one of the first signings that came in, and people were like, "Whoa, he's 6'3", he got the touchdown against the Giants. He's going to be good here, up the seam, blah blah blah." Give me a fucking
I'm gonna say
break.
a news flash. A lot of guys caught touchdowns against the Giants last year. A lot of guys.
Yes.
Did.
Why don't we sign him? I scored a touchdown against him. The guy got paid $1.8 million. He's going to be the next starter. Let's go. Oh, we're signing. Give me a break. The guy didn't even make it through the spring. Got a toe injury. Yeah, they also cut Jordan Akins. We have no tight ends. We have a bunch of fucking bums on the team. Bums. We have right now. I
mentioned it to you. Bellinger's number 1 on the depth chart. And talking about a 4th or 5th round pick, whatever he was.
Our tight end group is so bad, they're going to be signing you and me back in a few minutes. They're going to be like, "Oh, this guy's got passion. They know how to run a freaking route. Let's go." I mean, and let's be honest, Daniel Bellinger didn't look that great against, the Bengals backups, right? He's going to be a rookie. No, so now you got 2 rookies. You got 2 rookies on the team. You got Austin Allen, who everybody hated, come out because of his blocking skills, but he could catch the football. You got Chris Myrick. Hold on. Chris Myrick.
He caught a touchdown pass last year. He did catch a touchdown pass last year.
That makes him great. That makes him phenomenal. Not only did he catch a touchdown pass, but he showed Cincinnati like a couple weeks later. So Chris Myrick, let that sink in, and Daniel Bellinger. This is the worst tight end group I've seen on the Giants in a long time. Mind you, they had that Beckham kid and a few other bad tight ends. Bear Pasco. Okay? Bear Pasco on a route in a box. Okay? Yet I would take him right now. His rodeo having ass. I would take him now.
over anybody.
That's what I was gonna say. This is the kind of tight end group that needs like an Eli Manning to come and get these guys going, man. Because it felt like it didn't matter what tight end he threw at him, put on his roster, he was gonna get the bill to find a way to get the ball to him. Whether their name was Will Tye, Barrett Pasco, Jake Ballard,
Exactly.
it didn't fucking matter.
He made them all household names in giant blue. And let's not forget the unicorn, Martellus Bennett, who he got paid, by the way.
Yeah, he got Eli. He should be thanking Eli Manning, Martellus.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
And Larry Donnell should thank Eli Manning too, because he would be a shoe salesman right now if it wasn't for the few years that he was here catching touchdowns for Eli. Thank you very much, Eli Manning. Okay? And then Will Tye did some things against, and now we have Ricky Seals-Jones, who's gone. Okay, listen to this. All the tight ends we signed Ricky Seals-Jones, gone. We signed Jordan Akins, gone. We drafted Daniel Bellinger. He started on the pup list. Okay, we got Austin Allen, who nobody even knows about. He's an undrafted rookie free agent. Oh, great. I'm really excited now. This is the worst group of tight ends I've seen in the history of fucking tight ends. I'm sorry.
We can channel some of that energy from those other no-name guys we used to have years ago, and maybe things can work out, man. Look, as long as these guys catch the damn football. he throws to Evan Ingram. He was throwing to Evan Ingram. Just Evan Ingram
drops the fucking football. Unless the guy wears an 82 and his name Caden Smith, we don't got shit. We don't got shit. You might as well throw the fucking paper boy out there and make him a tight end. God, if I'm the Giants, I'm making an Indeed ad right now or a fucking LinkedIn ad right now. Say tight ends wanted. Need to have. Yes.
Holy shit!
And gotta run a 10-yard hook route. That is it. Those are the requirements. Maybe weigh over 200 pounds. I mean, my God.
Maybe we bring Tim Tebow in, man. He heard he's looking for a job still.
Oh my God, Tim Tebow! Don't give me that name. I'd rather have the freaking pool boy at the Marriott down the block than fucking Tim Tebow. I'm just saying, take the fucking pool boy. Oh, the tight end position, Ricky Seals-Jones.
As bad as these tight ends, as rough as this tight end room is looking right now. I'm right in my head. I'm NYG, man, right in my head right now. These wide receivers right now, it's getting rough, man. It's thinning out. Our star wide receiver from a couple of days ago, Alex Bachman, went down with an injury. I'm not even sure what his injury is.
It's called a hurt ego.
Colin Johnson's out for the season now with a torn Achilles. Another one has had a great camp, great preseason so far.
I bet you Kenny Galladay did something. Kenny Galladay did something. Put a little poison or something in his water. But here, drink this, man. It'll make you do good. Because he knew his ass was on the line. He couldn't be the only receiver, at 6'5". Because every new out to do better than Kenny Galladay. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan type shit. Where in the locker room, he's like, hey, man, don't stretch. I'm Kenny Galladay. I'll give you my training routine. I don't stretch before practice. I don't stretch before a game. You be like me, no problems. He doesn't stretch. This is what happens. Out the game.
I don't know. Subi Guru. I I feel you. I don't. Somebody new to the stream. Welcome aboard. Thanks for stopping in. But I do agree with you to an extent. We got to see how things go. We don't 100% know yet, but
I can't blame the medical.
It just looks a little dicey. Looks a little dicey. That's all.
I mean, I can't blame the medical staff on this one. I mean, he says the training staff could be made. I'm not exactly sure. They did bring in Aaron Wellman one year, and he still had injuries. He was from Notre Dame, and they're like, "Yeah, let's bring in Aaron Wellman. We'll work out." And guess what? We still ended up with the most injuries in the league. So, my only thing that I can attest is that a lot of these injuries, especially with Achilles, is either it probably happened maybe in the game, maybe the turf did something to it. A lot of these things are happening because of the explosion that these guys have. They're wound a lot very tight, and maybe that was him. Maybe he took a supplement that wasn't, that helped him better. You don't know what's going through these guys' bodies, because what I'm seeing a lot more of these days is Achilles pops. That used to be not a rare injury, but not something you saw every time. I mean, the one Achilles pop for the Giants was Tim Carter, the receiver, 84. And now I'm really dating myself. The bum from Auburn, who in a Minnesota Vikings game went to, get off the line and popped his Achilles. Right, we never saw him again, but that's the one giant injury I saw. And then of course Sterling Shepard gets one later. So it's really discouraging. I mean, it is encouraging that that Shepard's back. It's almost kind of ironic, right? We lose Colin, but we get Shepard back. It's kind of weird, kind of weird dynamic here. And Darius Slayton
also to this man, he is absolutely a lock to make this roster now. That's not even up for debate now. So now I feel like they still have that's a lot. They got their top 5 wide receivers for sure, and there's still at least one more spot left. I feel like it's just going to be a matter who goes out and gets that out of who's left.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how injured CJ Board is, but I like Richie James. I think he was brought in here for a reason. There's a reason why guys like Robert Foster, David Sills, they're kind of showcased. So maybe you might trade somebody. I know this is the time of year where you do tinkering in the roster. And here's something that I thought about is like if you like a tight end, the Giants are I think 1, 2, 3, 4th in the waiver claim, or 5th in the waiver wire. Right? It goes from draft order, and unless Texans or Lions or Jaguars don't want to, and Jets don't want a player, you're next in line, right? And don't be surprised if one of these Jet tight ends that breaks loose might join the team or something like that. And a name that they brought in early on, but I think they were trying to wait and see what they had at tight end was Eric Ebron. I don't know if he's signed with anybody yet. Let me make sure that he is not signed because that would be,
I haven't heard of him signing with anybody, but
he came in for a workout early on with the Giants at the beginning of training camp. He's 29 years old and things like that. So again, the only reason you may not bring him in is because you don't know how much money you have left. Right now, the Giants are up against the cap. They have about $5 million, roughly. That's the estimate that we have is possibly $5 million.
I mean, Eric Ebron has put together some decent tape over the years in the NFL. I mean, with his years in Pittsburgh and Indianapolis in particular when he was with those squads. But at the same time, when you go this length of the offseason and no one's signed you yet, you don't have that much leverage if you want to still play in this league. So I don't think the money thing would be that big a deal.
But Mac,
you really need to get him in there.
Well, the thing is, Mac, is that I don't bring up the money deal because the guaranteed money. So if after one, aka week 2, you don't have to guarantee his salary. The question becomes, if they get nobody and they plan on signing Ebron come week 3, are you willing to risk, having your tight ends out there for, 2 weeks without a viable option at tight end, right? Like that's the risk you play is that you run that. That's what you want to do. I'm not saying they're going to sign, him. I know that there's a tight end Jeff mentioned that was in for a workout, which is also pretty good. A pretty good chance that he's probably going to be signed soon. And the Giants claiming players is never good. But those guys, they probably claim them because they need bodies. I'm really interested in what they're going to do with the Jets tomorrow. The offense didn't have a good practice today, and a tight end really will help out. If you really believe in Daniel Jones, you need to bring in Eric Ebron because, to me, you need a tight end. That I know people are going to say, "Well, Adam, you don't need a tight end on this roster," and blah blah blah. I don't believe that. I believe just because the Bills didn't use the tight end as frequently, and they did have Dawson Knox, doesn't mean you are. Remember, that's a different entity. They had different things going on for them, right? Their tight ends weren't as focal because they had 3 bona fide studs at wide who stepped into his own, and they had Stephon Diggs, right? So
I say we don't have Stephon Diggs, so that's a big there.
Yeah, but we have the great Darius Toney, man. I mean, come on, he's the bee's knees. He's great. No, I'm just kidding. He's no Stephon Diggs. I'm not smoking that, but. That's what I'm saying. The circumstances different. I think the Giants are going to try to be a dominantly run-heavy team with Saquon Barkley. And I think, that's why Bellinger is here right now, is because his blocking has been pretty decent. So you may not need him that way. But for me, like if Ricky Seals-Jones is the tight end that they wanted to bring in, right? And he was here for like a minute, great Ricky Seals. I can't wait to get it to see. They want to move tight end, right? And none of these guys on the roster right now are moved tight ends. They're not a detached tight end. They're more on the line, right? So I don't know, man. Maybe I'm calling up Jeremiah Hall. I have no idea what they're going to do. This is the thinnest position by far on the Giants roster.
Well, what they need to do is, I agree. They need to get at least, a veteran in that room, man. Like you can't. I don't really feel that comfortable going in, and I don't think we will. I think they're going to address this situation and get something figured out there. You got to get a veteran in that tight end room. I don't feel comfortable going to the season with a couple rookies, late round draft pick in Bellinger, with decent upside, but he's a late round draft pick, and you got an undrafted free agent in Austin Allen. So yeah, you definitely, I think, need to put some more experience in that room and help these guys along. Even if you're still planning on, taking the field with the younger guys and and just throwing them out there, throwing them to the wolves. You still need that veteran presence in their room. Got somebody that can help motivate them, keep them motivated, and just give them kind of help be like another coach out there, another like player type coach out there to help the young guys, because NFL is a lot different animal than college. It just is.
I think what you need is like Chris Myrick. Yes, he's I guess called right. He's got some experience in the league or whatever, but to me, I can't go into Tennessee knowing that the most experienced tight end on the roster is Chris Myrick. I just can't do it. I just can't be that guy and say, well, we'll bring in Chris Myrick, because to me that's a waste, right? Chris Myrick, you need some guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if they sign somebody and they try to sneak Austin Allen on the practice squad, because so if I were them, I try to sign a guy, and the thing is, I want to bring him in now. I bring him in a couple weeks before the season, try to get acclimated. A guy who's a veteran, like Ron, this won't be his first rodeo. He'll know how to have experience of turning around a team and coming in and learning a playbook quickly. Because remember, he did that with Pittsburgh. He did that with the Colts. He did that with the Lions. He's moved around from team to team, so he understands what it takes to be a veteran and get up to speed on short notice.
Maybe we should have held on to Kyle Rudolph. Psych.
Wait. Ricky Seals-Jones doesn't do it for you?
But nah, it's just you figure you got to keep you're keeping at least 3 guys on active roster. You're not going into game day with less than 3 tight ends. So something does need to be figured out there.
But I mean, like, think about this, right? Think about this. I'm not saying Tennessee's going to do it, but Tennessee's got a decent. I think better than decent. I'm underselling right now, but for this argument, let's just say they have a good defense, right? You want them to really go in knowing that you have no threat down the seam. They're going to be like, yeah, well, because guess what's going to happen? Daniel Jones has a problem with linebackers in the seam. So now you have no tight end that's going to run the seam. And that just doesn't bode well for Daniel when he's doing his progressions.
Yeah, I definitely agree with some of these comments in the chat. Got my man Subi Guru. Says Caden Smith has a degenerative knee injury, and as history is running right, he'd probably get injured right away. I don't know that for sure myself, but I definitely could agree with that statement if that's the case, man. So 100%, he'd just come out there and probably get injured as soon as he falls on the turf the wrong way or something. If that's the case.
Listen, Jeff, I would love Jeff for them to hire me, and be the tight end, but I'll do it. I was a tight end in Pop Warner years ago, so I can go catch pass with Daniel. He'll hate me though, because he'll be like, "You're the guy that keeps badmouthing me." I'm like, Daniel, you need to work together right now, otherwise we ain't gonna win this game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But another name I've seen up in the chat quite a bit. Jeff's been bringing them up. You might as well just address that guy too, man. Our first round draft pick from a year ago, Kadarius Toney, who is out there hobbling around and looking very, very limited. And it's not
Well, that's
looking
great.
like he's
This is great.
going to be
A
ready
fucking
for
mass
week
unit.
one. The way he's moving around, it just looks very ginger to me. Like I just don't even. The way he's moving around. I'm almost curious why he's even out there doing the drills. It looks like he needs to be sitting there with his knee
But
on some ice or something, an ice bath, something, because it looks bad. Hamstring,
here's the
whatever the hell's
problem
wrong with him.
I have a problem with this is when guys get off-season surgery prior to the start of training camp or in April. This should have been addressed in January. Okay, if you knew he had a bad knee in January, the doctors should have told him, go get your knee scoped or whatever the hell his is, so that by April he's ready to go. Here we are now talking about another injured receiver. It seems like we have a mass unit of injured receivers. We have Shepard coming back. He's a dropped bar of soap in the shower slip away from being out for the year, right? You have Kenny Galladay, who can't get open and sneezes hamstring injuries. Okay, but then we have the only healthy guy we have is Darius fucking Slay. We bring this guy up. He is like a damn fucking rash that never leaves. You put ointment on it, you think you're all good to go. It goes away for a few weeks, and then boom, here it comes back again. That is Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton is the rash that never goes away. And you know what? Let's hope that let's on Sunday, because if he is, I'm not saying we're in a lot of trouble, but we need guys like Shep. We need somebody to come out there and play because we have no tight ends. This game is getting scarier and scarier by the moment for me. With all these skill players being out, with the injuries to the offensive line, the continuity that we need, everything that we talked about this offseason, that we need the guys in there. We can't have injuries. And guess what? We've got a list a mile long already of injured players. Nobody, quote unquote, significant right now. The only significant injury right now would be Toney with his banged up knee. The only guy we expect, to have a breakout season.
Major role on the team in general.
Right, Darren Beaver is. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And I was gonna say that is the one thing I can say about the injuries so far. You're right. It's not like Saquon Barkley's down again or something like that. It's guys that are battling for spots on this roster. Just that it's a couple of guys that look like they were going to actually get spots on this roster. And that's what's kind of hurting. I mean, Darian Beavers was looking like he was going to be a potential big time breakout rookie this year. And the receivers that went down today in practice, they all looked like it was very promising. You know what I mean? So it's tough, man. It's tough.
Well,
it's just tough to see guys go down, period. But Subi Guru had made a comment up there a minute ago. I was just going to address that real quick, man.
Don't pull it out, man.
About Bellinger needing his licks. And I agree, man. I mean, these guys do. You got to come in there. You got to feel that NFL contact. You got to get used to it. But at the same time,
there's different contact. 9/11.
Yeah, I feel like you're getting worked up as Giant fans because we've seen it happen continuously, year in and year out. I think that's just where that comes from the Giant, from our fan base perspective right now, because it's just the same old song and dance, same old story.
Let me ask you this, okay? How many fourth round picks have been breakout stars in their first year? We're
in their first year, yeah, not many.
We're asking a fourth round rookie from a college, San Diego State. I don't think they're in Pac-12 or anything big like that, right? They're not a huge school, right? To now come to the NFL and be like, yeah, you know what? Take it all in, kid. You're down to start. Yeah, well, I mean, that was in the 90s. Okay, we're talking about right now, a tight end is totally different than a running back. A running back is a different position. I'm saying, and I think he was a first round pick anyways. I could be wrong about Marshall Falk, but
I'm pretty sure he was, yeah.
And now he's a Hall of Famer. If Daniel Bellinger is even close to that, I'll be happy. You know what I mean? San Diego State alum. hey, our school is great. I'm sure it is. I'm sure the academics are great. You're asking a guy from a smaller school to take the jump into the NFL, right, as a fourth-round rookie. As a fourth-round rookie. A tight end. That, nonetheless, not a guy that like a receiver or something like that. A guy who's going to be in there and predominantly a blocker. Like, at least that's what we believe.
Well, I mean, he was definitely made a name for himself in college as being a really good blocking tight end who didn't really get that many opportunities to catch passes in their offense. Apparently, they were like, I guess, a run-heavy offense or something, or like just throw to their wide receiver, whatever. I don't know nothing about San Diego State, but but apparently he came in where it was. His hands are better than what people might realize, and he hasn't really.
That really worked out,
showed us that yet. Yeah, he haven't really completely showed us that yet. But I don't know. I still was pretty excited about the pick. I like things that I saw with this kid during the draft process. So I'm thinking, he's like, can't expect him to come in like you said this year as a fourth round pick and come in and be a damn world beater. You know what I mean? But
right now he's the starter.
He's getting thrusted in a position where he's gonna have to make some plays.
What I'm saying is, like, there's growing pains, and I'm not trying to poo-poo him. I'm hoping Daniel Bellinger is the next Kevin Boss or the next great Giants tight end, right? But Jeremy Shockey was a first-round pick and set the world on fire, okay, that first year. I mean, he was just the blonde bomber out there. He was running people shit, you know what I mean? We've had tight ends that, like you said, Eli Manning has made household names. Jake Ballard, Bear Pasco, Kevin Boss. He made those guys good. Kilbride's offense also helped him. But now you're taking a guy who is doing adequate blocking. And this will be the last time because there are other positions we want to get to. But, I just feel like you need somebody at tight end. While I don't really like Chris Myrick. I don't really hate Chris Myrick. I need somebody with a little bit more game starting experience. You know what I mean? Not practice squad or, played a game here or there, made a touchdown catch between his legs. I need a guy who has actually, like an Eric Ebron, who's done it before, been there before, I can rely on, is a veteran that's going to be able to understand something the defense. Because let's say Tennessee is running a zone concept, right? And Daniel Bellinger, who is not as smart as the next guy, doesn't understand the drop and may not take the right make the right route or make the right adjustment, and next thing you know, it's a pick six or an incomplete pass or whatever, right? So with Eric Ebron, he may not know that, but at least he might find to sit there and be like, all right, I see the defense going, I don't know much, I'm just going to turn around and make myself available for the quarterback.
Interesting. I mean, I do. Yeah, like I said, hopefully they'll get that addressed. And, for what it's worth, we all know how this process usually works. It's going to be a few names out there, I'm sure, that'll be available come the end of cuts or whatever, guys that get released from teams for whatever various reasons. And, I think we'll be able to get some kind of veteran presence in that room to help these young guys along. But for right now, Bellinger's looking like he's in the number one slot right now. Right. He is the number one tight end on this roster.
Let's kick it over.
See what's happening going forward.
Quickly to a guy like Kadarius Toney, right? With these injuries to the wide receivers, Darius Slayton, it really is getting discouraged because Kenny Golladay can't even separate. We're asking a one-legged Sterling Shepard to come out here and just all of a sudden turn it from 0 to 6 right out the gate, and now we have nobody, right? And Darius Slayton, who, by the way, people love Darius Slayton, and you can. I don't mind the guy. I don't think he's, I don't think he's this all world-beating wide receiver that, God forbid, the Giants get rid of him. Oh, my God, the world's coming to an end. I don't believe that. Is he useful? Yes. Has he exceeded a fifth-round pick's expectations? Yes. However, he has disappeared throughout the season. There's been games where, like, you see him get 100 yards, maybe 100 yards there, and then radio silence for 3 fucking weeks. So I'm just saying.
I think Mitch just hit the nail on the head with Slayton, man. Slayton may turn out to be a major factor because he's just going to have to be, you know what I mean, at this point. Somebody has
until
to
he
be.
until he pulls a hamstring or he gets banged up and he can't run. Because I mean, let's be honest, he's had a history of minor injuries in his career, from hamstring to a nagging foot injury in 2020 to being, I don't know what the hell happened to him last year. I mean, the whole offense sucked, but maybe shot ego was his injury last season, because after he dropped that football, and see him for the rest of the year, really. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, the reason why I'm so hard on Darius Slayton is because when nobody was doing anything, he didn't do anything. He should, if he was so good, he would have rose to the occasion, and he didn't.
I agree. The
Right?
cream rises to the top.
Right. So, if Slayton, and I like Slayton, like I said, but when we needed you the most, you could only produce 200 yards. A fucking one-legged Kenny Golladay at least produced 500 yards. And you're telling me a guy who went from 700 to 700 in the offense the previous year with Joe Judge, okay, and Garrett, right, and then goes to 200 this year. That doesn't make sense to me unless either A, he's not as good as we think, and, when Golladay was out, they rolled their coverage. Because if he's deep threat the Giants got, because Tony is out and all these other guys are out, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Richie James is an undrafted free agent for a reason.
I mean, with Slayton, do you think it could possibly be just the quarterbacks losing confidence in him a little bit? I mean, Stu's had some big drops over the last couple of years. I mean, you got to just face it. I mean, he's had some big drops.
And I'm not trying to be a mean guy to him. Like, I like Slayton. I want our draft picks to do well, because it's pointless not to, right? Sit here and fight like, I want him to do well. I'm just giving you the facts of last year. Where was he last year when we needed him the most?
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't step up. That's for damn sure. When all those receivers were going down, he definitely did not step up.
And that's been the history. That's been the history of Darius Slayton. It's been a thing. He has a couple big games, a big touchdown, and then he disappears for a few weeks. It happened in his rookie year. It happened in 2020, and last year again he went MIA. Now I don't know if it's his confidence. I mean, last year, let's be honest, he had 339 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay, that's half the and half the reception that he had last year. He went from 50 receptions to 26 receptions, from 751 yards to 3. That's like half of his action cut last year. Why? I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if they didn't feature him, but to me, with guys going down with injury, he should have been getting the ball more if he's this great receiver. It just tells me that maybe he's only got one gear, and that gear is go, right? Maybe he doesn't run the other routes particularly well. I'd like to see him on a slant route. I've never seen him on a slant route since his rookie year.
Well, also, I just like to think, kind of going with this comment right here, man, is that when you put that film up, he put his rookie season, that kind of elevates what people's expectations of you. He was a 5th-round pick that had a better than normal season as a rookie than most 5th-round picks have. Those 8 touchdowns, how many yards he had, but he had a really, really good rookie season.
Well, look, I'll tell you what, okay?
It just raised people's expectations of him as a player and what they were expecting him to do going forward.
Let me address NYG 22, because he wasn't asked to be a number 1 receiver. He fell into that role. So in his first year, he played 14 games, started, died, 48 receptions, 740 yards, 55 yards with a long touchdown, and he had 8 TDs, right? The next year, he started. Now he was elevated because we got rid of Golden Tate, so now he had to start. So he had 50 receptions for 751 yards, started 15 games, and had 3 touchdowns. Okay, now he's a number 1 receiver. If he's such a number 1 receiver, how come he only started 5 games last year? All right, 5 games, 26 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He started 5 games, and that's it. That's all you could amount. Is that much yardage? You played in 13. I'm just saying, this is what I mean. If he were great, he would have made more plays. They don't do much with him in terms of getting him the football in space, right? They don't do much with him in terms of getting the football over the middle to him. He's a very deep throw type player. So for me, if he's going to be a major factor, I need to see it. Why haven't we seen him in the preseason?
That is definitely an interesting question, and we're going to need to see him this Sunday for sure, man, and see what this guy got now at this point, because he has now probably pretty much become a pretty valuable asset to this offense once again. Now he's gone from just a few days ago thinking is he even going to make the damn team to looking like his roster spot is now pretty secure.
Well, what do you think about Keelan Doss? He was getting fired, and basically he was walking out to his car, and they're like, "Whoops, we need you again. Come back."
I mean, yeah, and that's also facts. The whole team did just suck last year, so I mean, we're taking a lot of frustration out on Darius Slayton.
Well, I'm not though. You got to make plays.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's just that his shit stands out a little bit. When you're wide open in the end zone and the quarterback gets the ball to you, you got to be able to bring those in, man.
I guarantee you,
the game winner. You got to make those plays.
I guarantee you, if he catches that pass, right? He catches that pass, totally different ball game. Totally different ball game. But right now on the depth chart, he's probably number 3 if Tony doesn't play. Otherwise, he's number right now. And that doesn't mean he's going to play a lot, because they're probably going to try to force feed Wendell Robinson. They're probably going to try to get Kenny Golladay force fed. And then you got Sterling Shepard, who now they're going to need to rely on more so than they thought they were going to rely on. There's no way Sterling Shepard is getting bumped down the depth chart because of Darius Slayton. It's not happening. He gets paid too much money.
Definitely not happening.
And he's considered, with the money that they pay him, he's considered a starting caliber wideout. So, but enough about these wide receivers and the offense. I mean, we could talk about Daniel, but he's all right. He's being, the offensive line. The one thing I will say about the offensive line is they look competent. They look like they know that they're listening to the coaches and executing what is being taught out there. Right? It's almost like when your teacher teaches you the math problems and you get an A on the test because you finally studied or you listened to some of the problems that were put in front of you and you made it work out for you. Right? That's what I see as happening. That's what this football team going forward is that all the guys that we see in the preseason are getting coached up a little bit better, and makes me a little bit more confident that we have some depth players or some nice young pieces to build around as we go forward.
Absolutely. How do you feel about some of the criticism Evan Neal is starting to get early on, calling him, saying that he's been pretty disappointing thus far, which I'm not sure what they're looking at. Sure, he's has his issues with he's been having issues with the pass protection. I'm definitely can admit that. It hasn't been great, but his run blocking, just what he's doing in the run game, his run blocking, he's been a factor. And for some reason, I don't know if it's PFF, the other media outlets or whatever, just absolutely kind of ripping this kid, man, saying, talking about he's just may have been the wrong pick and this, that, and the other, and he's just, it's not looking very good for him right now. And I don't understand why people feel like they need to jump on these rookies so quickly when they're still adjusting, man. They're in that process of still adjusting to the NFL game. It doesn't matter that you came from Alabama. Alabama, as good as they are, they're not beating the worst NFL team in the league. This is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You line them up against who was the worst team last year, Jacksonville Jaguars, they're going to get their fucking teeth kicked in. That's the reality of the situation. So
Right. Well, I mean, I got 2 words for that. Andrew Thomas, okay? Many people thought he was a bust. I didn't. It's called growing pains, right? People, this is a new job he's starting. It's not like he's going to school. You have your job here. He's got to learn a whole new technique that he didn't have to necessarily rely on in college. He has to learn the balance. Balance was part of his one of his flaws. That's why people like the Kwanu better, because of his pad level and the way that he could bring his hands up. But Ed's going to be a stud. You just got to give him time to develop. Now, it may not be a stud overnight. A very good, reputable scouting person he kind of hit me about a couple years to really be over the top good. You know what I mean? So if he's not good this year, don't worry about it, right? Know that you just want to see improvement at it. So for me, I'm not really worried about it. It can cost us in some games just because, Bud Dupree is pretty good, and he might okey doke the rookie here and there. Harold Landry's good. He might okey doke the rookie here and there, right? So they're gonna. There's more tape on these guys than ever before, right? So now it's not like you don't have to go back and get tape from Alabama to look at them. You can go on YouTube, and you can see guys break down his weaknesses, and you could be, I don't know, that guy that with a one rookie. I think that's what they did with Shepard back in the day. They took his Oklahoma tape and went after him like that because they had nothing.
I mean, yeah, Jeff. I agree. It wasn't. I think his pass blocking was better this past game than it was in the first preseason game. But I've been noticing he's got some issues, man. He's got looks like some footwork issues when he drops back, gets back sets in his first pass blocking. It's pretty noticeable. Pretty noticeable, yeah. And he finds himself on the ground quite a bit, and that's no good with the pass blocking, man. You got to be your step, keep beating those guys up, man.
And that's why I worry again. Like people were like, "Oh, Daniel Jones' performance is great." Yeah, it was great, but wait till the chaos happens, and that's when we're really going to get evaluation on this because these guys are going to make mistakes. They have to learn to work together, and they haven't worked together yet like this in a setting where they can then get reevaluation. You're going up against your same teammates who know your ins and outs. You don't know Bud Dupree's ins and outs. You may think you know, but how do you know what he knows or what he studied to get better this offseason, right? Now he's going up against a rookie who may not have seen all the moves, and now he says, well, I can get this guy off balance. He goes back to his coaches and says, overload to the right side of the Giants line, and I'll beat Evan Neal cleanly, and the next thing you know, there's a sack, maybe a sack fumble, and it could turn the momentum of the game. So, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, did Bud Dupree play at all last year? I can't remember if he played at all last year.
Yes, he played last year.
He did play. Because
he had 9 sacks.
He had 9 sacks last year. Jesus. All right, never mind. That answered the question.
No, excuse me. Sorry, wrong. You're wrong. I'm wrong. He had 13. He had 3 sacks last year. So he wasn't a factor yet.
That's what I was going. But I was going to say, in Pittsburgh, you got a guy like T.J. Watt opposite of you, man. He draws a lot of attention. Have we really seen Bud Dupree as that guy that's going to get the attention? Attention coming his way now, and see how he plays through that.
Well,
I'm not knocking. I know
they got Harold.
He's a good damn player. He's
well.
Great.
They got Harold.
Rusher,
they got Harold Landry, who just got 12 sacks last year. Right, Bud Dupree probably coming off a knee injury. Isn't going to obviously be as good last year as he is this year. This year, knee is fully healthy. Second year in the defense, got a guy who's got 12 sacks across from you. All right, and you're playing a rookie. I'm licking my chops right now, saying I'm going to show the world that I'm the same pass rusher I was in Pittsburgh. Now you've got a guy, like you said, you have your Batman to your Robin. Your Batman is Landry. Your Robin is Dupree. All I'm saying is the guy that has been in the league, who has had some success, is not going to find Evan Neal scary. Right now, when he is flip-flopped and goes over to Andrew Thomas's side, maybe on that side. Either way, they have a pass rusher that is going to be coming from one side of that field and is going to, I don't know, maybe they put Landry and Dupree on the same side. All I'm saying is his inexperience is going to, baptism by fire is what's going to happen here. And we just need to be patient. That's all. Be patient.
And Jeff, as of right now on the depth chart, Lemieux is the starting left guard as of right now. But we all know things can definitely change.
But I get Jeffrey Simmons is ready to feast. But guess what? You got a guy outside. You have to double team in Landry. You got a guy outside, but competent pass rusher. It only helps a guy like Jeffrey Simmons because now you're taking blockers away. Either way, you either block Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry wrecks the game for you, or you block Harold Landry and Bud Dupree and Jeffrey Simmons wrecks the game for you. Pick your poison.
I mean, yeah, like I said, we just need to get ready for these Tennessee Titans, period. And I think this O-line Maybe I think they could be up for the task. I think it's going to be a tough day, but it's going to be a great test for them. I think they could be up for the task, especially like I said, what I'm seeing in this run game, and
well, I mean, they definitely get to practice against one of the best defensive fronts in football. At least that's what we think, right? So
I think this game, that Week 1 game against Tennessee, is going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those ugly, grinded out kind of games, man. It's going to have two offenses that are going to absolutely want to run this football down each team's defensive throat.
It's going to come down to turnovers.
I agree. It could just very well come down to that. And that's speaking of running game. I talk about our running back Saquon Barkley a little bit because he didn't get any snaps in this last preseason game, and it's definitely not because he was banged up or anything. He's 100% ready to go. But I feel like they've seen enough through training camp, through the first preseason game. They realized Saquon's back, man, and the real Saquon Barkley is back, and they feel like obviously we're not going to risk him out here in these preseason games because he doesn't have anything to show us. So is that? I mean, I feel good about that. I think. No, I was just gonna say,
I'm not worried about
that. That makes me feel good. Go ahead.
I mean, that's the difference. This is what I'm talking about. That's the difference between being a good player and a great player, right? That's the reason why Daniel Jones is in the game, and Saquon Barkley is out, right? Because let's be real, when you're good and you're great, and they know how great you are, they don't need to showcase you, right? What they're doing with Saquon Barkley is they know, hey, we are great, we are good. We don't need necessarily. We don't need to play you. Stay healthy for 9/11 when we go up against arguably one of the best defenses in the entire league, right? So Daniel, on the other hand, has to build some memory and hasn't earned that right because he's not the player that Barkley is, right? But I'm just saying, last year we saw what happened when Daniel didn't play, and that's fact. Last year Daniel didn't play. Guess what happened? He sucked out the game, right? He didn't hit his receivers. He wasn't that good, and he overall sucked. Now, I have a feeling this game may be similar to the Denver game next year, last year, because people are poo-pooing like the Tennessee Titans as if they don't have weapons or an identity or something like that, and I just want people to understand, like, this team is rebuilding. Go in there expecting to win, but don't be alarmed if the Giants lose, okay? I know people think I'm negative. I'm only negative real, I should say, from Monday through Saturday. Come Sunday, I'm with you lunatics, and I'm rooting for my team to win, right? I don't have to play content creator or whatever it is, or have to give you a real take. That I'm enjoying the game, but from Monday through Saturday, I have to give you a real opinion of what I see, what I've seen, and what. And for me, as a 4-13 football team, last year I can't just walk in and be like, yeah, we're going to surprise Tennessee Titans who went 12-5 and lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. Eventually went to Super Bowl.
Yeah, I could. You got to remember with Tennessee Titans, man. They lost A.J. Brown and maybe lost a couple other key pieces, but they added Robert Woods. They still have Derrick Henry, who is an absolute beast, and he is a load, and he's a lot to handle. And New York Giants, we remember 4 years ago, the last time we played Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry ran absolutely wild on us up in MetLife in the snow. So as they shut us out, by the way, I believe like 21-0 that day. It's something crazy like that, ridiculous. And I know this ain't the same New York Giant team. I get it.
Well,
but at the same time, and it's not the same Tennessee Titan team, but they still have that man, Derrick Henry, and like I said, he's just a lot to handle. So you got to always put that in the perspective too.
They threw out Derrick Henry's on the field. Okay, when he's off the field, he threw and hit. That was for 9 games last year. By the way, they won 9 games without Derrick Henry, so I think they know how to play some football. Just to let you know. But with the 9 games he was off, he threw 11 interceptions. So you get a better Ryan Tannehill with a Derrick Henry starting. So that to me is the focal point. And they're at home, in their building. I feel a little bit better about this game if it was in MetLife Stadium. I could give you a little bit more juice to it for the Giants, but I just think this team has got a lot to prove, Tennessee. And they hear all the press clippings. Ryan Tannehill apparently is getting this job taken away by a third-round quarterback drafted out of Liberty, right? Derrick Henry can't run the football anymore. He's washed up. All this stuff that they're trying to tell me, I can't believe it. I'm just saying, can't believe it.
I mean, yeah, so I'm definitely not sleeping on this Tennessee Titan team because, like I mentioned before, when it all comes down to the end of the day, they're a very well-coached football team, and there's a reason why they were number one in the AFC last year, even though it didn't work out for them in the playoffs. They're a good football team. They're one of those teams, like you just said, they figure it out one way or another. They'll still figure out a way to keep winning football games, and they're just a scrappy, one of those scrappy blue-collar teams, man. That I secretly root for a little bit on the low when the Giants ain't playing or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not like gung ho like I am a Giant fan. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the Tennessee Titans, but they're one of those. They're the type of team I like. I like to see succeed when the Giants aren't succeeding. If the Giants can't succeed, if it can't be the Giants, I like to see teams like Tennessee Titans.
Well, they win. They win games. This is a team, and maybe we'll end that soon, but this is a team that the Giants never do well against. This is a team they need to come out and prove that they have made it to that upper echelon of teams, right? If they come out there and give a good fight, I will say, yes, that's good effort, but I want to see it in week 10, against a better team, or week 5 against the Green Bay Packers. Because the first week, you could always upset somebody. There's always an upset special. This could be it. But for me, I'm just looking at Tennessee. I'm looking at Mike Vrabel. And if you watched that Tennessee team last week against, I forget who they played, that second-team defense was dominating. They were dominating whoever they played last week. I forget who they were playing, but you watched them and you're like, damn, that's their backups? Those are their backups? Damn. That's what I mean. It's like you look at the team, they're well coached, they're backup players, but just as hard as the first teamers. These guys are scrapping, they're close. One of the best in the NFL. And it starts 9-11. They're going to try to take it out on us because they've got Harold Landry. They've got, the cornerbacks that are coming back. They got linebackers that fly all over the field. They got, arguably one of the best defensive tackles in the game. And that's going to make the guy next to him better. So they've got a ton going on with them. And not to mention, they play in the AFC, which is, we all know, is light years ahead of the NFC. So that to me right there means the competition is going up. So we need our guys to play. We need our guys to understand this. This is why while I hate the injuries to the backup players, it's good that some of these guys are getting burned because we may need them down the road, and it's not going to be a deer in headlight situation going forward.
I mean, good teachable moments, good experience, man. But NYG, Robinson looked good in practice, not so much in the games, though. He may take time to adjust. 100,000% agree. That's exactly my feelings on Mr. Robinson right now. Almost like you're in my head because I was pretty much thinking that exact thought. Because, yeah, he's looking great in practice, but in the games, it just hasn't. It's not because they're not making efforts to get the ball to him in the games. They have been. Like this game on Sunday, a couple passes thrown his way. They ran that one little gadget reverse play, whatever, end around. He mishandled the football.
Well, that was a bad play by Daniel. That was a bad toss.
And yeah, but like I said, these guys are in the NFL, man. I mean,
right. I get what you're saying, but sometimes you can make it easier.
It's not going to be perfect every time. I get you can, but they're not always going to be perfect, man. And it can't.
But that play needs to have. It's going to be one of those things, and I think that's what we're really going to talk about here is the fact that the Giants need to get out of their own way, right? Because a team like Tennessee, if you keep it close, that favors Tennessee. It doesn't favor the Giants because what those teams are going to try to do is put you in pressure cooker. They're going to try to make you so flawless that you get your own head, that you're going to be like, I need to make this catch. I need to make this play. I need to be perfect because guess what? They're gonna knock the ball down. They're gonna be right at your hip pocket making the tackle. They're gonna be popping the ball out. So a team like Tennessee is gonna put those pipes. I call them pressure teams, where they put you in a pressure cooker and they try to make you. They're gonna try to take away Saquon Barkley, and they're gonna try to make Daniel Jones, who they probably believe is the weakness right now of the two players. If you had to stop one, I'm probably gonna stop Barkley because he can wreck a game in one carry. Daniel Jones hasn't proven that he can necessarily wreck a game with his arm. So if I'm Tennessee, my game plan is we're stacking the box. We're making sure that that quarterback is good.
All right, Blue City Empire Sports, man. I really haven't had a chance to look at these guys too much yet. I'm not familiar with any of them, to be honest. Talking about wide receivers Jalen Moore, Bailey Gaither, and then cornerback Harrison Hand. I'm not familiar with any of those guys, so I'm gonna have to look a little bit deeper and to see if they're even guys that might even legitimately make this roster. Which
let's just say they're booty.
Just here, yeah. They're pretty much just here to get through the rest of the preseason at this point because you just need guys. You need guys to practice with. What's going on, AK, man? Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for stopping in too, Blue City, for joining the stream, man, joining the chat. Appreciate you guys. But yeah, so I gotta look into those guys, see if they add anything extra to this team. I'm not really expecting them to, but we'll see, man. And that's right, man. Great minds do think alike, NYG.
Well, I'm not a great mind, NYG. Way to slap me in the face. Thanks for joining us. I mean, my God, come up into my house and just insult my carpet. Why don't you? You know what I mean? Just put all your shoes all over the place, walking with your dirty steps like Rick James. You know, I'm just kidding. I'm just having fun with you.
But yeah. So no, we haven't talked about yet with this New York Giant team. Also, one of the biggest dilemmas this team has been dealing with this offseason, man. Still finding the James Bradbury replacement. Mr. Robinson didn't appear to look as rough as the first week of preseason, but they're still picking on him. He was
playing a string quarterback.
They're still picking on him, yeah.
The thing is, that's what I'm saying. Let's be real. They're playing a third-round quarterback. You're not playing, Brian Hoyer, whatever that guy was. He made a play, because he's a competent quarterback that made a play against this guy named Allen. We have to wrap it up soon. That's going to be the Achilles heel for the Giants is the cornerback position and the fact that they're very thin past Robinson. I haven't heard about Rodarius Williams. Right now, it's not looking good that he's going to make the ball club. At least right now. I mean, we'll find out next Tuesday. As
he's buried in the depth chart, bro. He's buried on the depth chart.
So we'll see. Cordell Flott, he's gonna have some growing pains going forward. So we have a lot going on with this team. And so a lot of questions that don't necessarily have answers to are going to be elongated with that delayed answers, right? We won't really know how good Robinson is come 9/11 because there was one play in the Bengals game that really scares me. It was 4th and 2. The Bengals had the ball inside the midfield side of the field, right? And they did a little zig route right behind the safety, and the guy caught the ball. They did play action fake, and the guy snuck out behind. I don't know if it was Robinson, but whoever the cornerback was. And I sat there and said, "Wow, that's a good play, like a good executed play against this defense." And I'm wondering how many people are gonna do that because let's be honest, Wink Martindale's defense can be beaten, and people beat it last year with far. He didn't have as good of corners as he has now. I mean, you could argue these corners are a little worse on one side than the other, but Jackson goes down, we're fucked. There's going to be quarterbacks beating us all day, and then what are you going to do? You're going to play zone, which is going to give these guys all they're going to do is button hooks. You know what I mean? And get first downs like that. So it's going to be one of those things where you pick your poison and hope hope your front seven really makes a difference.
Well, right now I'm still going to be very optimistic with Aaron Robinson. And I really believe this guy is just going to get better with increased reps. I don't know. It's something about this guy, man. Something about this guy with me. I feel like the more reps he gets, the light bulb's going to come on, going to shine a little bit brighter, man. And it might take a few weeks, a little bit, a month into the season or so, man. We're going to take our lumps and deal with it. But I just believe in the talent of this young man. When I see him out there play, I like the way he plays the game overall. I just think with more increased reps, it'll start getting a lot better for him. At least I hope so. I hope I'm right about that, because if I'm wrong, we could be in serious trouble going forward.
Yeah.
Man.
And it's it's one of those things where, Kayvon Thibodeau may be out the first game. So you got to rely on Roche and things like that. And you don't think, again, this is not by Ojulari or any of these guys that are coming in. So, let's see how London Williams plays, because if they start to run the football and they start to get 3, 4, 5 yards of play towards the middle part of the game, that's really going to increase the chances that they're going to go deep at some point. And Ryan Tannehill knows how to play off the play action. So these are one of those things that we got to really worry about and really find out. Because, like NYG said, he said, hey, why don't you put a tight end on Evan Neal's side? Well, you can't do that every play, because every play they're going to know that you need help with this guy, right? At some point, that takes a player away. You can't always double team Aaron Robinson's side with a McKinney or Julian Love, because that takes – you got to hope that guy can learn his responsibility and do it adequately enough to – keep you moving in the right direction. But, man, we've hit the 2-hour mark, man.
We are almost there. But, one couple more. This guy right here, Hope Fox, makes it to the 53-man roster. He is talking about linebacker Toman Fox, whatever his name is, how we pronounce that. But this young man did make a strong case for himself on Sunday. I mean, he was out there, like I said, hustling hard, man. He was hustling hard. He was playing creating a lot of good pressure, a lot of good pass rush, and he made that big hit late at the end of the game to seal the deal. So you never know. I don't know how they feel about him. I haven't really seen too much about him prior to Sunday, honestly. So you don't know. You got to see what else is going on. But he made a strong case for himself on Sunday, that's for sure.
Yes, he did. We won't know again. He's a guy that is going to have to steal a roster spot from a O'Shane Zimenez type player, because
that's what I was going to speak in that name. I was going to say, what does that mean for him with Kayvon Thibodeau being banged up? Does that pretty much kind of help his cause, or at least for the short term?
Well, I think it helps a guy like I think it helps like Fox more so than Zimenez, because I'll be real with you, Mac. Zimenez has done nothing in the preseason to warrant anything outside of having a strong camp and a couple highlights against, Evan Neal. He hasn't done anything else against anybody in the preseason games, and he barely has the edge, right? So for me, I think it helps him, but you can't just keep a guy to keep a guy. You know what I mean? Because what happens is that takes away everybody else, and now you're screwing somebody else up. Like Tom and Foxen, I don't think is going to make the practice.
Uphill battle.
Right.
Definitely an uphill battle for him.
For Fox?
For Fox, yeah.
I think, I'll be honest, I'm on the limb and say he makes the team over O'Shane. And the reason why I say that is because the long term in the defense. O'Shane has 1 year on his contract. I'm not going to waste time with guys not going to be here. I'd rather get rid of O'Shane Zimenez, who's a veteran who can find a landing spot if we cut him from the team, and then keep Tom and Fox in, a guy that we deem as a good player, a guy that we want in our future, and a guy that Lawrence Taylor vouched for, going forward. I would be like, listen, we need to keep you on the roster, even if he just plays, right? The guy that I'm really worried about is Quincy Roche.
And another reason why he may make the team, Foxen, is because we lost. We're losing Ellison Smith, probably. Right? I wouldn't be surprised if that guy goes on IR when the cutdowns happen.
Well, another question here from Blue City Empire, man. You can like a lot of roster questions. That's cool. Guys think Antonio Williams will be on the roster. He's another uphill battle for this guy, man. He's been pretty solid with his opportunities in the preseason. But you got Mr. Barkley in front of you. You got Matt Breida. You got right now Gary Brightwell. Right now, those are the top 3 running backs on the depth chart. And he's got to leapfrog one of them, and obviously we know who he's not leapfrogging. So,
well, I think
it's going to be Gary Brightwell provides special teams. A lot of special teams help. So,
well, so does Williams. Remember, Williams made a big tackle in the game. So for me, I think he has a better than Brightwell, and he showed out a lot more than Brightwell. Brightwell, I don't know why he didn't play. I don't know if he's injured, but he can't make the club in the tub. So that's one of the things that. And that's not my saying. That's Carl Banks saying. But can't make the club in the tub, right? So we'll see. If Gary Brightwell's injured, great. If he's not injured, then I want to know why he wasn't playing. You know what I mean? Because a guy like I think needs things. Like think about it like this. Guys don't play in the preseason, and we'll find out if he plays again against the Jets. These guys may be on trading market, right? So you don't want to showcase him too much to the teams because either A, you're going to try to cut him and get him through waivers, or B, you're trying to trade him and not lose out on a valuable asset going forward, right? Because sometimes these deals are agreed to in principle that we don't know about, saying, hey, we need a running back. We'll take Gary Brightwell off you if you're going to cut him, right?
Well, it seems like the chat seems to agree with that assessment pretty much that Brightwell that he could very much leapfrog Gary Brightwell. My only argument, like you said, I have no idea why Brightwell didn't play this past Sunday, but in the week 1 of the preseason, Gary Brightwell was running that ball very hard, and I mean he just had some impressive runs in week 1 in the preseason. So we'll see what the future holds, man. But he also at the same time he doesn't have much NFL tape. He doesn't have a big strong resume. So and this is not the regime that drafted him. So yeah. Williams, I mean, so right now, you could be right. Antonio Williams could have the edge over him. But as of right now, how things stand today as we're speaking to you right now, Gary Brightwell is number 3 on the depth chart.
Well, this game Sunday, 1 o'clock, get your popcorn out. It's going to be a fun one. Jets always seem to bring the heat in this game. It's just been their history, their MO, and they're going to bring the heat this Sunday as well. So hopefully we get out of there with no injuries. But I do believe Daniel needs to play. I know you may be scared, but you can't play scared. You got to be like, listen, we got to get you in there. Barkley, again, is a little different because he's been injured. Well, both of them have been injured, but the thing about it is I think Daniel needs more reps than Barkley. Just me. And I'm not trying to put him in harm's way. I just know that last year, I just know that he does because last year he was in the offense. You could sit him. If this was year 2 and Daniel, who may or may not be here next year. If this were next year, hypothetically, let's say he does that big leap and he's here next year, then maybe you sit him because he knows the offense. But being that it's first year in the offense, he needs to be in there and play with some of the guys that are going to play with on Sunday. It's going to be a big game this Sunday, preseason-wise. You might start to see who is going to make the team and who's not going to make the team just by who's playing on the field. Because this is going to be more of a dress rehearsal. Those second-tier guys, those third-tier guys, so like maybe the middle of the third, late third, fourth quarter at that point, just because they're going to want it. You have literally from that Sunday, you have 2 full weeks till you have a football game. So you want to get these guys some playing time.
You talking about this Platzgummer guy, the Australian guy, whatever.
You keep asking about all these guys. He ain't going to make the damn team.
I don't even think he's making a practice squad necessarily, honestly. I mean,
right.
Unless these other guys can't unless these other guys don't clear waivers and get scooped up and
he will probably be worst case scenario practice squad. That's it. But I doubt he's making this 53.
He's not making a 53. That's not happening. But I'm like I said, even practice squad is going to be a tough stretch for him. You know what I mean? It's other like you were talking about Williams, Corbin. We're going to probably try to keep one or two of those guys.
Right, exactly. If they clear waivers, I mean, Antonio Williams I'm more worried about than Gary Brightwell, right? Because Antonio Williams has played some games and knows. So, anyways, I mean, those guys, we'll find out. Sunday's coming up quick, and big practice tomorrow against the Jets. The team does, and we'll see what we're doing because the practice tomorrow will give you an indication of where the team might be. You know, like if Daniel's throwing picks all over the yard, you may want to be alarmed. If he's throwing dimes all over the field against the first team defense, you may take that and say, he might do good.
We got a new Eagle fan in the chat, Nick Walker. Welcome to the chat, my brother. Even fly Eagles fly. Well, we'll see about that, man.
Or how about crash man. Eagles crash?
That's what we want to see. But right now we kind of got y'all flying. We ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna stay here and hate. We kind of got y'all flying right now a little bit.
More like
chat, man. Thanks for stopping in, man. And if you haven't already, please sub up to myself and Adam Costas, man. We do this every Wednesday night. The Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. And we got a special episode coming up next week. I'm going to plug that one more time. Next week, we're going to do a special edition where we're going to have a special panel up here. We're going to rank the positional groups for the teams in the NFC East, like which ones got the best quarterback situations and running backs, so on and so on with the positional groups. And we're gonna have a panel up here. It'll be obviously myself and Adam Costas representing the New York Football Giants. But then we're gonna have my man AK representing them Philadelphia Eagles. We're gonna have Cole's Cowboy representing the Dallas Cowboys, and we're gonna have Protect Sports representing the Washington Commanders, man. So it's going to be a fun show next week. Make sure y'all all tune in, man. We're going to chat and get very involved with this. Obviously, it'll be one of those type of shows where the chat can get fully engaged.
It's going to be probably the biggest show of the year so far that we're having.
Yeah, just have a great time with it, man. So, Tudo. They won't be flying nowhere near us, Big Boss Mac. That's what I hope. I hope not, Tudo.
We're crashing and burning. Man.
And yes, Nick, we can definitely all agree the Cowboys are whack. That's one thing we got in common, man. But we had that 2-hour mark, man. Y'all know we about to wrap this thing up so we can move on with the rest of our lives, for the rest of our evenings, man. Because brother got to get a little relaxed time in. Got a lot of long days, but so yeah, definitely check us out next Wednesday here on the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up, and check me and my guy Adam along with our other super dope co-host NYG Jeffy T, 3285 Zion Zenith. We do the Premium Takes podcast. We try to get it in every Sunday. We having some scheduling difficulties here as of late, but we're gonna try to get it in this Sunday. Have some fun with that as well. We always have a good time on that show. That we just cover sports in general, not necessarily just football. We go into whatever.
It's probably gonna be a reaction Sunday after the game, or that night after the game. Give you guys a reaction to our thoughts on the game, preview and take style, and then of course we're gonna do everything next week because by the time we get on, there might be some roster cut downs and some moves. So.
Oh man! So with that being said, man, we great piece up out of here, man. Thank you all for coming through, man. The chat's been great, man. We love the fact that y'all come show us so much love, support every week, man. With this, we're getting one more step closer to the regular season, everybody. And when we get to the regular season, we can ready to take off. This show gonna be lit, man. Because we're gonna have real shit to talk about, real game shit that actually matters, So, thanks everybody for coming through. It's been another episode of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up, and you can catch us back again next Wednesday. Me and my guy Adam Costas, man. Hey! I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MacDa Giants Fan.